I'm going to stay on this blood goeth forth and touches blood subject. Guess what? They got in your flu shots. Some blood goeth forth and toucheth blood. Uh, it's Sophia Smallstorm has this video where it talks about chemtrails and Morgellons and how they're finding these red blood cells floating around in the sky, and they're half blood cell, but they're half uh, manufactured blood cell with mechanical biomechanical components. That definitely to me sounds like some iron mixeth with clay, blood going forth toucheth blood. The iron in the clay goeth forth and touch through this Morgellons nanoparticuli. You got to look into that. People are going to say, "Oh no, that's just insanity." But if you go and you can't trust people that let blood goeth forth and touch blood. You know what I'm saying? Because this is who you trust to tell you the truth, and they don't. They let blood goeth forth and toucheth blood. That's why you find out about Planned Parenthood and them selling body parts of babies. You also, to continue on that note, they have something called Cinemax, Pepsi, Kraft, all kinds of food products used aborted fetus stem cell flavor enhancers. All right, that's blood goeth forth touches blood. That is Soylent Green. Another horribly morbid situation, just like that. They got caught throwing abortus fetus tissue in the furnaces of a hospital over in Great Britain. And what's funny about that, Jonathan Swift, who wrote this satirical article, this dude Sam Mendes one time tried to tell me to, or try to be funny about, and I read that, and he's like, "Oh, it's just satire," but it's like, no, that's sick. We live in like that for real. That's like Jonathan Swift, not let the British people eat their young, I think is what it said in there. And we literally are now. And a lot of people don't care. They'll laugh. You tell them about this. That's conspiracy theory. You know what I'm saying? And you wonder why they don't care. You know what I'm saying? They got us all. It's straight up Dracula, man. Frankenstein, Satan, Dracula, man. But it just keeps getting worse. The more you look into it, you realize how much blood went forth and touched blood. The genocides of the planet, blood went forth, touched blood. When you see a mass grave with a bunch of bodies on top of each other, that's blood going forth, touching blood. And guess what? There's a religion out here, the worst religion on the planet. It's called statism. And statism always eats its own. And this is why blood goeth forth and touches blood. Because people just will sit back and they can get comfortable in the worst of situations to the point and just desensitize to the horrors around them. That's even in the Constitution. They're like, it's like we find that men will sit in a horrible situation until they can't sit there no more. And they're like, this is a flaw in mankind. And this is why we wrote the Constitution. Is to try to stop us from just becoming totally in captivity, totally bondage, slavery, and have to sacrifice your children to Moloch. Look into that too, Moloch, and Baal, and all this child sacrifice. Blood goeth forth, touch blood. You got the Moses situation where they were killing all the Hebrew boys, baby boys, in infanticide. This is another that you can follow that right to fallen angel teachings, and also demon worship. So infanticide, and It's crazy. And they used to do it in antiquity in the beginning, before Noah event, that women would let men punch them in the stomach to kill the baby so they could keep their beautiful womanly figure. And they would do this for the angels as well. You know what I'm saying? Because society was totally messed up. And they got vain. That's where vanity comes from. Is this type of situation as well, where you will kill the children to appease your husbands and your angel husbands, and before you know it, you'll just kill your children anyway because you get powers from demons, and it's just it's in vogue. Uh, this is blood goeth forth and toucheth blood for real. All right. You look how many cops have, like that guy that like 10 cops beat him to death and he was crying out, "Dad, dad, help, help." There was blood everywhere, dude. I've seen like hundreds of videos of similar things where just people getting their faces. That kid got his face grinded in, literally. And I've seen him shooting homeless people, shooting dogs, shooting women, punching women, making women brain dead, tasing people. They'll fall, hit their head. They'll be paraplegic forever after that. I mean, the ramp up of the police military complex, in because it isn't police anymore. It's like paramilitary all across the board now. All EIEIO centralization, like a lot like Nazi Germany was right before the blood religion took over. The blood religion, blood goeth forth, touches blood. The Holocaust. The Holocaust means a ritual sacrifice, burnt sacrifice. It's a Hebrew word. When they were following Moloch, the Israelites used to do that to each other in secret. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of the reasons why they were judged themselves. So just because people claim that they're related to the tribes of Israel, it's then you better admit the sins of your fathers and all of our fathers on this planet, because we've all been lied to, and they all went out the way and went wrong at some point. And until we acknowledge that and get back to the truth, blood will continue to go forth and touch blood. Even Jesus was slain. His blood was poured out. Blood went forth and touched blood. The prophets killed. Blood went forth, touched blood. The disciples, some of them, blood went forth, touched blood. It's totally insane. You look at Halliburton, the military industrial complex, and how all these wars started over false flags like 9/11, like Osama named Tim Osman. Osama wasn't his real name. His real name was Tim Osman. He was CIA, just like ISIS is CIA. Right now, listen. You think some guys like on Back to the Future, those guys that driving in the van with the fucking rocket launcher trying to get Marty McFly? You think some guys like that could really in the geopolitical, geo-military scheme of things, you think some guys in Ninja Masks and Toyotas with some AKs and stuff can really put up a fight against all these nations? Yeah, right. So these men are out here cutting off people's heads, oppressing people, raping women, killing children. That's blood going forth and touching blood, and it's not you, the American person. You're not fully responsible, but to some extent, the fact that you're not protesting against this going on, in a way, your silence is kind of like your consent. And so just in your ignorance is no safeguard. There's like Isaiah talks about that hell enlargeth itself, at her coming, and that people are willingly ignorant and they're in agreement with hell. So to be willingly ignorant is to be in agreement with hell. And It's not that you're ignorant. It's that you're willingly ignorant. There's a big difference. Ignorance can be forgiven. That's even in Numbers, as harsh as the book is. It said if a man is ignorant of something, you don't you don't hold him to it like someone who knows better. You know what I'm saying? So there's a differentiation here. You know, but by being ignorant still won't protect you from the fact that you only get to be ignorant of something and get caught like one time. You know what I'm saying? To be honest. So you could say I've picked up bad habits. You know what I'm saying? I'm struggling, but I mean, at least if you can admit that you're not being willingly ignorant. But our nationalistic, national fascist, corporatist, neoconservative war machine goes around this planet and wreaks havoc and brings all this bloodshed. Sometimes the American government they're not the ones pulling the trigger, but they're the ones starting the freedom fighter groups around the planet, their proxy armies and their de facto puppet dictators around the world. I mean, you can look into that. This isn't. I mean, I that's a kind of a blanket statement, but I mean it's true nonetheless. Uh, they really do this. They bring them democracy, and it's a joke around the planet. They know democracy just means they pretend that they got a choice, but they don't. They really got a dictator. That's democracy is mob rule. I mean, democratic republic is a better form of mob rule, but it still can go to despotic if people don't participate right. Just because you're participating doesn't mean you're helping the situation. By participating in it wrong, you actually help them oppress everyone else. You know what I'm saying? And you help the facade go along. And then you act as if you can't tell that this stuff makes blood goeth forth and touch blood. I mean, you got, I mean, they got false flag operations that cause real traumas and angst and destruction in society because of the false flag of 9/11. All the ramp up of policing has led to thousands of murders by cop. That's called democide. When your government murders you, uh, that's called democide. And we're headed for martial law, which is going to be a mass democide. It was by design. Here's the thing, too, to think about. This land, America, when they went and the American Indian extermination policy is where Hitler got his research to start to find a solution. So we are tied up into the Holocaust, and like I've been saying lately, that seems like we are a lost tribe of Israel, and it's good to know that. But it's also it's messed up too. It's when they came through this country and they exterminated the Indians. Not all of them were related to my tribe, but yet they still didn't deserve to die that way. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times the men were gone, man. They were out fighting, and they were weakened in a weakened state. And these soldiers went through and slaughtered indiscriminately only women and children. I mean, listen, that is genocide and democide. And American government did it. I mean, it's not the state governments weren't always involved. Sometimes it was just the Fed. And the Fed hates the Indians for some reason. And the federal government it's a very evil mother effer, dude. And they cause a lot of blood to go forth and touch blood. You can look into COINTELPRO, how they've assassinated all these people like Kennedy and fucking Martin Luther King. They got Leonard Peltier in prison forever as a political prisoner. I mean, you can look at all the KKK back in the day, hanging black people, killing black people, lynching black people. They've always politically assassinated minority groups and poors and each other. Look at Kennedy. Blood goeth forth, touch blood. Lincoln got murked by the Catholic Jesuit, whatever that dude's name was, Blood goeth forth, touch blood, man.